Fê, não esquece de gravar.
Okay. Welcome, everybody. It's a pleasure to be here again with you, sharing our discussions and our ideas about different topics related to language and activity. I'm very, very happy that today we have Reijo with us. I won't say his last name because I never say it correctly, but Monica will do it beautifully in a minute. And it's a great, great honor to have him here with us, sharing ideas and discussing different topics. Antes de continuar, vou falar em português. Se alguém que está assistindo pela internet tiver interesse em ouvir em português, coloca uma nota no chat do Facebook e a gente vai passar para vocês o nosso link para vocês entrarem na sala do Zoom, tá bom? Então, é isso. Okay, so thank you again, Reijo, for the opportunity, and I'll pass to Monica so she can introduce you properly. I want to remind you all that this is a activity from PUC São Paulo, from the postgraduate program in Applied Linguistics and Language Studies. And it's also part of the activity of postdoctoral students and doctoral students. So Monica is one of the organizers of this activity, together with Larissa, Viviane, Daniela, and some others who are here today. So now, Monica, it's up to you.
Okay, so I won't make any formal presentation, any formal introduction, okay, Reijo? So yeah. If you feel like you can do it, Reijo Miettinen is a professor in University of Helsinki, where I met him. And he's one of the founders of the Center for Research and Activity Development and Learning, the CRADLE. Now he's an emeritus professor, which is a privilege somehow, because usually when they get emeritus, they do whatever they decide to, kind of. So this is it. I have like this academic and at the same time personal connection with Reijo, because Reijo and Uru are like Fernanda and Cissa when we think about our research group in Brazil. So I'm very close to Reijo. Reijo gave great contributions to my dissertation, especially to the notion of collaborative agency, which is very challenging, as he said. And that's why I invited him, and because I think this can give a great contribution to our research group, not only the notion of collaborative agency, but also the notion of creativity, collaboration, contradiction, and so many topics that Reijo discussed. And I think, I don't know, I don't want to give any spoiler, but at least every time I hear Reijo, I have the feeling that, wow, we could have another session and another one, because of the so diverse and the different topics Reijo discussed. We shared a paper on Hegel, Reijo, the one you published in Mind, Culture, and Activity. But Reijo has different topics. There is another one about DOE and activity theory, the ones on creativity, collaborative agency. Reijo has some work on engineering, the BEAN project, and chat, on the object of activity. So there is a wide range of topics regarding cultural historical activity theory that we could be here discussing for a long time. So, tervetuloa Reijo, kiitos paljon. I will spend my whole Finnish, as you can see. Yeah. That's everything I can do. And thank you so much. You are welcome to talk to us, and thank you very much to be here and to accept our invitation. It's 10 p.m. in Finland. So thank you so much to be here with us, and the window is yours.
Thank you, Monica. It was kind words. And I must say that I enjoy being an emeritus professor, because I don't have any administration more. A little bit I miss teaching, but otherwise it's much more time to read and even write to the issues that I find important. And now I was supposed to speak about collaborative agency. And as I said, the concept of agency is very topical, but also a tough concept, which is largely discussed in philosophy, psychology, and social sciences. But I will not go to that. I will tell what we thought about collaborative agency when we studied technological innovations in late 19th with my research group. We were involved then in science and technology studies, and these we selected 6 Finnish innovations, technological innovations. Each of the doctoral students studied one of them, and we tried to uncover how a new idea emerged and later on were turned into a product in the market. That's the definition of innovation. Typically, this process took from 3 to 8 years. And we studied those innovations by interviewing the key players and collecting documentary data about them. And because they were high technology innovations, there were a lot of scientific publications also related to that, which make it easier to follow up the process. And now I will first tell what kind of things we found. Then I will criticize or talk about the limits of what we found and take up some further issues about agency. When we studied these 6 innovations and compared them and tried to generalize what we found, how a new object emerged. One central observation was that it did not take place within one organization, but the new idea and the product was a result of combining different capabilities or resources of several activities. And this combining took place through face-to-face encounters and discussions between persons representing different organizations, which this discussion then led to the emergence of a joint object hypothesis. It's a hypothesis, that is something new we can achieve working together. And it also led to collaborative agency, which assumed a form, a joint project. When I speak about agency in this context, it means that the partners started to work together to have a project. The ideas only are not sufficient. Its agency means that you are committed to activity to accomplish something. Sometimes these encounters between partners took place were unplanned. For instance, encounters in a conference, as a result of which a collaborative agency emerged. Sometimes they were planned contacts taken by one partner to other potential partner. In the paper I delivered, there were a couple of examples of kind of unplanned encounters in a scientific conference where 2 partners realized the complementarity or their interest and knowledge. And then in the discussion, quite immediately found that it would be possible to produce something together, and they then put forth a common project. For instance, one of the most important inventions of last century, the gene transfer
Uma das
technology,
invenções mais importantes do último
emerged in this
século em relação a isso tem a ver com tecnologia.
Anyhow,
Reijo, since we had this break, I forgot to ask, I'm sorry. Would you like
Eu esqueci
to
de
share
perguntar, você gostaria de compartilhar?
Okay. To share any
Tudo
presentation
bem?
or
Você
anything?
gostaria de compartilhar a apresentação ou algo desse gênero?
Or you're just going through the speech,
Ou você simplesmente está lendo o que você escreveu?
like a paper presentation?
Ah, só um minuto que eu acho que está acontecendo um problema de sobreposição de áudios.
Okay, what then happened or emerged in these encounters and discussions between very people representing very different kind of organizations? First, what emerged was a joint object idea, a vision of a realistic possibility to produce a novel or alternative technological solution. Second, what happened, the partners recognized the reciprocity of their interests, expertise, and resources. Thirdly, on the basis of the discussion, trust to each other's emerged. And finally, commitment to a joint project to realize the object idea. It's kind of practical commitment to realize what they found possible. And when we further tried to analyze that kind of encounter between partners, we found or we took 4 elements or concepts to clarify it. The first one is, and this is very typical to activity theory, that starting point for the process is to provide a solution to a contradiction of an activity or to social dilemma. This, contradictions of the activity systems is kind of basic dynamic force in account of development on activity, for instance, in Yrjö Engström's theory of expansive learning. But this same idea that is also very typical in the history of technology, where with historians of technology recognize critical problems, functional failures, or reverse salience, which refer to inefficient component in a technical system or activity as a starting point for inventive activity and product development. But recognition of such a problem or contradiction takes time. And it's fully recognized, I think, not before a hypothesis of an alternative solution is perceived or recognized. Even if there are problems in activity or this kind of bad practices until you recognize that it can be there's an alternative to then. Until that, it's kind of state of art that is received as a necessity. But when an alternative vision is taken up, the old practice immediately is found also as problematic. And I think this is what happens also in these encounters. The second aspect,
O segundo aspecto,
when we analyzed this,
quando a gente analisa isso,
was what we called
é o que nós chamamos de
Anticipatory Directionality.
a direcionalidade. Acho que
Now
de novo nós estamos tendo problema com a tradução.
Now I
Just a
hear the
second.
translation.
Does anyone have the audio on? I would
Não,
ask.
Fernanda, eu acho que na verdade eu troquei com a Mônica agora. Você chegou a me colocar como intérprete?
Não, vou colocar, então só um minutinho.
Tá.
Tá bom, peraí. Just a second.
Claro.
Priscila, não tô te... Você pode falar para eu poder te achar aqui?
Yeah, the second aspect is this. Okay. Still.
Fala teu nome para eu te achar mais rápido, por favor. O nome como tá?
A tradutora?
É.
Lilian. Tô falando agora.
Lilian, qual dos dois? Backup ou Lilian?
O Lilian.
Ok.
Gasparetti.
Isso.
Pode,
Eu quero só te fazer uma pergunta antes de começar a falar. Tá. Agora ele me mandou aqui.
Ok. Sorry, Reijo. You can go ahead. That's okay.
Can I continue now? Yeah. Okay. The other aspect is what anticipatory directionality, which refers to the process that an agent, organization or person representing is dissatisfied with the status quo, but still not have an idea how to solve it, but is already oriented to find some solution or to find alternative way of doing things. In business studies, this is also often called search activity. We does not yet know how to solve the contradiction or problem, but we still are oriented to find an alternative. And in our studies, it's often the expertise or resources on other organization or with different kind of expertise that allow the definition of an alternative solution. An encounter with an agent with complementary knowledge. The organization alone is often unable to find a solution, but needs the point of view and resources and visions of others, which are found from the partners. The third aspect of such network encounters is complementarity of the historically developed capabilities and resources, which then allow to concretize the object hypothesis and lead to the emergence of the project that can then realize the new object hypothesis. In activity theoretical studies, there John Steiner had underlined the significance of complementarity of viewpoints and visions as a source of creative solutions in scientific work. So this complementarity in relations to the problem to be solved is very important aspects of that kind of collaborative agency. Fourth, the motives to joining to a project as a partner is related to the history of the activity of each of the partners. They either want to solve a problem or contradiction of their activity, or expand their activity, or to deepen the expertise they already have in joining to the project. So this three contradiction or social dilemma as a starting point for in creative process or product development process. Secondly, it's preceded by anticipatory directionality, search for a solution without knowing yet what kind of artifact or object would do it, complementary of the historically developed capabilities and resources of the partners. And fourthly, the reason that the partners must have in their own activity reasons and motives to be partner in the joint project. Then I take one example to clarify this. It's included in the paper that I delivered, and it was a Benecol margarine. It's a functional food product that reduces the cholesterol level of the human serum. When it reduces the cholesterol in the blood, cholesterol level in the blood, it is very critical for preventing heart and coronary diseases that were in the 1960s and 70s by far the most important reason of premature death in Finland. For different reasons, there were a lot of heart and coronary diseases caused by the high cholesterol level in the blood. People, I don't go to the reasons. So this was a kind of social dilemma that called for solution. And this Benecol margarine, which included an ingredient that lowered the cholesterol, was one solution to that social problem. But it is interesting that the initiative for that process of developing that functional food product came from a pulp and paper factory. That that is, it produced pulp, and in pulp production, lot of different waste materials are generated. Half of the material that are included in the process are left as a waste material. And the Caucus was able to segregate from that waste material a chemical called cytostanol. They established a plant to separate cytostanol from the waste material of pulp production. But then it happened so that they had a customer who had promised to buy that stuff for medicine, to be used in the production of medicines, but they cancelled their buy, and the pulp and paper factory had a problem that they had the cytostanol material, but they don't know for what to use it. And one of the pulp engineers had read that cytostanol can reduce the cholesterol level of humans somewhere. And those engineers and the Caucus pulp factory contacted a professor in Helsinki University Central Hospital who was expert in human lipid metabolism and had a laboratory for research of cholesterol. And in these discussions, the professor was able to present an idea that the cytostanol could be combined with the vegetable products, the vegetable fat products such as margarine. So actually, this was the first encounter where the Caucus oil with the raw material contacted with the professors in the university hospital who had long, for decades, studied the problems of cholesterol in human body. And the professor had been also read very much and studied the possibilities of adding this cytostanol to the food products. And the professor contacted Reijo margarine production company who had studied vegetable fats and canola oil margarine for decades. They had a laboratory also for fat chemistry, and they were then willing to test whether this cytostanol could be used as a part of the margarines. It, however, turned out that because the cytostanol was a kind of crystallized stuff, it could not be put as a part of the vegetable fats. It was kind of, it's like little bit small stones would have been in the margarine. It was not soluble, but the Reijo laboratory was able to develop a chemical derivative of cytostanol that was soluble and could be used and added to the margarine. I took up 3 key partners here. the Kaukas pulp and paper factory that produced the raw material. The university hospital, which was specialist and expertise in studying the medical effects of cytostanol and its effect to the cholesterol level. And finally, the margarine firm that was able to produce that margarine and make the cytostanol in such a form that it could be combined with the food products. We find 3 organizations totally separate in different fields, having completely different kind of capabilities combined. And together they were able to produce this. And even this is a kind of simplified story, because there were other partners that contributed to the process. For instance, the National Health Institutes, who organized the population level experiments, which proved the effects of the functional food product on the cholesterol level of human blood, which was essential for the acceptance of the functional food product in the market. And it allowed it to make the kind of explain that this product is functional in the sense that it lowers the cholesterol. Or to say it, you have to be shown it by population level experiments. So this is an example of in how age partners with totally different expertise and tradition can, through the encounters and discussion, be combined to produce a novel solution to the heart and coronary disease problem in the country. And it's self-evident that no one of these 3 organizations would allow, in no way possible, to achieve this kind of alternative product. And now this was a kind of description how we found how this collaborative agency, which led to the projects together, combining the complementary resources, led to those inventions and product development. And also it is very important that individuals, the representatives of the organization, who take the initiative and take contact to each other, played a very important role in this story. But of course, when they, as an individuals, talk about possibilities or achieve something, they represented the knowledge and resources of their organizations. When they say that, okay, we might do this, they refers to the laboratories of their organizations or all the capabilities the organizations have. And now I will come to kind of how I see what we found today and what are the limitations of the analysis. We were focused on innovations, in which process firms and research organizations play a key role. In that, for that reasons, business and economic reasons play an important role. And if we think agency, for instance, in public services or voluntary activity, in NGOs, social movements, civil society organizations, I think it might turn out that very different things are important for the understanding of agencies. I think political, moral, or even religious motives play an important role in agency and commitment of people to activity. I take an example. In Finland, we have paperless persons, immigrants who do not have a passport or license to stay in the country. And that's why they cannot have a right to have, for instance, health services. Still they stay in the country. This is a real problem. There are persons who might be sick, but they are not, because of their legal status, to get healthcare services. Well, a solution to these problems is done by the voluntary medical doctor and nurses who have constructed or organized clinics that provide health care for healthcare services for paperless persons. And here it has nothing to do with economics or business. Clearly the motives of these persons are moral, professional ethic that regard healthcare or healthcare a human right to every human being. And this, of course, a lot of organizations like Medical Doctors Without Borders, who have expressed this kind of moral or normative foundations for the activity. And they really, they have done it. They have put up the clinics voluntarily because they find it morally important and find the human rights for every being important. And this is, of course, if we analyze human right or environmental organization, again, I think the sources of agency are related. If we think, for instance, the climate movement of school children, there are moral concerns, there are concerns of human rights, equality, poverty, degradation of nature, and so on. So I think that quite a different logic and forces are in play when we come from business, environment, and product development to the civil society organization, which I think are very important to be studied. Finally, you know, agency are related also to the objects, as we have in activity theory also always says that what's the object of activity. But then we have this global wicked problems such as climate change, degradation of biodiversity, increased differences between prosperity and incomes between people and nations. Yrjö Engström called this kind of objects runaway objects, which are so huge that they seems to be escaping all the time. But it's interesting that also a new kind of agents are being emerged to meet even these wicked problems. An example is Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, IPPC, and also the national panels that are members that belong to this IPPCC. IPCC resumes, it's a scientific organization and network that resume what is known about climate change and make, in collaboration with representatives of governments of different countries, suggest measures to stop or stabilize the situation, to stop the climate change process. It is an organization or network with its rules and procedures. It has been put forth by individual scientists, climate scientists. A Swede climate scientist was one of the fathers of this kind of organization. IPCC makes a report every 4 years. And much of the international climate agreements are based on these reports. And also the climate movement result to the results of these reports. When the report of 2008 was written, 3,500 researchers participated in the writing of the report and the peer evaluation of the manuscripts that later on became part of the report. In that report, they evaluated more than 108,000 scientific papers of the climate change. What I'm suggesting here that I find IPCC is an agent, but a new one. It's in between. It's a kind of between science and policy making, and it's an incredible organization which collect the best scientific knowledge that exists in the globe to one organization, and that's why it's a new kind of agency. Then we have national panels that contribute to that work, but also look at the same things locally. And when I am thinking, for instance, teaching at the schools related to climate change and so on, I think that collaboration with these panels and using their expertise or results is a kind of key challenge or thing. No single person or school is able to make sense of these problems, and that's why the collaboration with the panels and researchers in these issues is essential. Okay, this was what I
Very good.
Thanks.
I cannot unmute. Oops. Monica,
But we
We can hear you.
I can, but my computer is stuck. Sorry about that. Can you hear me? Because mine is not even unmute. So sorry.
Yes, we can hear you.
So thank you very much, Reijo. We have some questions, I think. Monica, Elias wrote to me that he would like to ask a question. Perhaps we could start with his.
Yes, please.
Yes, sure. Who? Maybe the translator.
Yeah.
Leandro is.
No,
Can
Leandro is going to do it in Portuguese for us.
Yes.
And
Yes.
perhaps Monica or Lilian could translate it into English for Reijo. Is that possible? But then you change the channel.
Oh, I can try, Faye, if it's not going to.
Okay. No, that's okay.
disturb them.
I think it's better if you can translate then. Okay.
Okay.
Elias. Leandro, can you see Elias, Leandro?
Eu estou ouvindo vocês em inglês, aqui no canal do Puro Português.
Então, mas é o Elias que você precisa ouvir agora. Ouvir
Ah,
não.
tá, ele que quer traduzir, desculpa.
Ele é que quer falar assim.
Quer fazer a pergunta.
A pergunta é do Elias.
Perfeito. Vamos lá. Ele pediu só um momento. Eu queria verificar aqui diante da leitura, da melhora... Ah, tá, entendi. Só vou contextualizar aqui. Ah, perfeito. O Elias, ele pediu se é possível compartilhar toda a palestra de hoje, se tem algum papel, algo escrito, né, do que é envolvido o contexto. Se tem o que foi falado hoje, né? Se tem o material, PowerPoint, um discurso escrito.
Reijo, Elias is asking us if you have a paper about the presentation or something visual about the presentation, so he could follow later, because we uploaded the articles. But Elias would like to know if we have another visual, so he could follow the presentation today. Today's presentation, I'm sorry.
Would you slides or what do you mean? I mean,
if you have slides or if you have written a paper about, if you have written a text about what you said, your notes.
Actually, I sent to you, Monica, 2 texts, and I talk on the basis of them, and they are of course freely available. They have been published, and what I talk in the beginning about the collaborative agency in product development is fully covered in these papers. But the last part where I speak about moral agency in civil society is not included. It's because,
So both papers are, desculpa, buguei, sorry. Os dois artigos estão no
tem tradução.
Yeah, sorry, Fê.
Yeah, both papers are
both papers are posted on the Padlet.
Yeah. But they are about collaborative agency in product development based on those studies, but not about agency in civil society.
Fê, tá desligado agora.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, if you could see my computer, you would say, no, it's not working. But anyway, it is. So I have a question concerning creative collaboration and the creative encounters. Reijo, we used to work a lot with the concept of good encounters by Spinoza, where he would say that there are good and bad encounters. That's how he names it. And in good encounters, the energy for producing things together can increase. And in bad encounters, this energy would diminish. So he said that when we get together, and mainly when we have different positions, different ideas, like when we acknowledge that we have ideas that are incomplete, we together expand our possibilities of understanding things because we have differences, and these differences, they contribute to the power of our resistance in existence. So when you talk about collaborative encounters, would you say that it depends on the differences, but also on the conflicts that arise from these differences? Because when we talk about collaboration in our research group, it's very much connected to the idea of critical collaboration and not a comfortable collaboration. Many people think that a good encounter or would depart from a comfortable one, when you feel comfortable in the sense that you are not worried about what you say, in the sense that everybody thinks the same way. And we are saying that the opposite creates what creativity or a creative project would be. What do you think about it?
I don't know this actually, what you talk about, this distinction between good and in the encounter, which we since we look at whether it leads to a joint project, it's a it's a kind of active oriented or operative point of view to the encounter, whether it leads to a joint activity in the context of engineering work and product development. And but what you said, it must be so that when they make sense about the possibilities of achieving together something, there must be also kind of critical elements in the discussion. But since we reconstructed these processes later on, and we were not involved in the encounter discussions proper, actually, I don't know whether to what extent such kind of critical aspects were in the encounters. I take from Vera Johnstein this idea of complementarity of the points of view, which was very evident in these cases, that they represented so different kind of intellectual resources that put together, they also produced a kind of novel outcome, or an outcome that would have been impossible without the contribution of the partners. But I can well imagine or understand that encounter, again, is quite a general term, and I have seen this discussion about epistemic encounters or encounters which are more directed, for instance, to the understanding of word or making sense of a problem. But since what I talk now was about product development, we look at the encounter from the point of view whether it give emergence to a joint project with a novel outcome.
Actually, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, I was trying to, because you talk a lot about complementarity, and
Yes.
I think that's part of of working together in a collaborative way. But contradicting, I think, is also part of this, not only because we complement one another, but sometimes even when we are producing something, like when we are producing an article, let's say, sometimes we have differences in how we see the production of the article that we are writing together. And in this discussion about should we do this or that in the article, or how do we analyze this data, these differences and the clashes that arise from them, they are what makes the article more creative. So it's not only that I know something and the other knows another thing, but it's also, and this creates something new, but also that we perhaps know things similarly, but in a different perspective. And this, it creates the clashes that turn the object into something unexpected, let's say.
Yeah, but I guess that that concept of complementarity, which people with very different background comes together, it immediately produces, of course, that this differences play an important role to produce a joint hypothesis or vision what can be done. So definitely the difference plays here. Even the complementarity in my mind, and also in the way John Steiner used it in studying scientific moods, includes this different points.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? Because then we could go to the questions from Google Docs that are more related to Hegel's paper.
Okay.
Okay, so maybe Larissa, would you like to start? Ask your questions. Oh, sorry, Leandro has a question. Does Leandro have a question? Okay, so Larissa, would you like to start with your questions about Hegel, and then we could go on with the other questions related to Hegel that are on Google Docs?
Yeah, yes, I can ask. Hi, thank you for your presentation. I'm really sorry I couldn't read the two papers that you offered us about creativity and encounters, but I did read the Hegel's text. So my question is about, it's actually, if you think it's possible for us to move beyond the idea of nation states as a reference for what is good in terms of a welfare state. Do you think that Hegel's work could help us move beyond this idea of nation state as a reference to what is good? And I think we, as an example, we can think about global warming, right? Or the European Green Deal, for example, that is being considered very progressive and very interesting for Europe, but is not taking into account, for example, the countries that are already most affected by climate change, which are in the global south, like Puerto Rico, Myanmar, Haiti, the Philippines, Bangladesh, Pakistan. So can we move beyond thinking about nation states to consider countries that are already suffering from climate change, and that historically they didn't help much or almost at all to increase CO2 emissions, for example, right? If we think about the Philippines and Vietnam compared to countries in Europe and in the USA and China.
I'm not sure whether Hegel will help in that. We might need Kant, but who speak about eternal peace and also the possibility of the nations to collaborate. I'm not sure how to answer that. Recently, I have written about the concept of Bildung by a Finnish philosopher and kind of national philosopher, J.V. Snellman. He was a follower of Hegel, but not very clear yet. When he speaks about Bildung, he always says that national culture is a part of our universal culture, and it's a duty of a national culture to contribute to the universal culture. And how I interpret it is that we must do a national policy that support, for instance, national arrangement and, for instance, climate agreements that help solving this problem, and also take into account the legitimate demands of what we call developing countries or countries, non-European or non-industrialized countries. And but it's up to the nations in the agreements, for instance, to decide how the economic constraints caused by the climate change solutions are divided. So I think somehow that the global solutions still are negotiated with nations. We don't have a global governance system that would replace the nation states as an agents that must negotiate the global problems. And that was, for instance, Kant's idea in his Towards the Eternal Peace, a small book as he wrote about globalization. He said that a condition of the agreement between or the eternal peace is the national culture that are based on democracy, democratic order, and where and anyhow, Hegel really didn't speak very much about beyond the nation state. So I think he maybe does not help much in that. It may be Kant, or it may be followers of Hegel who have thought more about the relations between nation states and global policy and the global problems.
Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, sorry. Maybe we could relate this discussion with the question about, there is a question, Reijo, about Hegel's political theory, and there's actually a statement on page 2 from your article Hegel's political theory challenges us to reflect on the role of the state. So the question is, and I'm going to make others intertwined, okay? Other questions intertwined. How would you relate the idea of Mbembe's necropolitics to Hegel's political theory? And could you comment on Hegel's discussion of colonialism a bit more? And the last one, I mean, from these intertwined questions is how you could give an example about a project, because in the end of your paper, you talk about projects that deals with practical insights that need to be converted into political demands. If you have any example of those, like for defending the right of children to play, develop their socially and imagination without demands of adults, life, future success or competition.
Now, there was very many questions. I had
Okay, so I'll focus on the two first ones. Yeah, the two first ones that are related to colonialism and necropolitics. If you think, how would Hegel maybe helps understanding both concepts, and if you could relate to Mbembe's theory of necropolitics.
Hegel do not help very much to understand colonialism, because he, as most of the classical German philosophers, maybe except Herder, presented a very clear-cut European viewpoint, which didn't take into account of other cultures, partly because they didn't know those cultures very much, and because they interpreted the history from the European tradition, from Greek philosophy to their German philosophy. So Hegel wouldn't help very much in making sense for colonialism. And he, of course, it also might be said that, yeah, maybe it is enough about that. It wouldn't help very much because it was very Eurocentric view. Still, it's not, as a political theory, it's not birthless, because the idea of constitutional state in which the rights and obligations of citizens are defined in the constitution and also is quite an important idea.
All right, there were other questions. So if there is anybody with like, I have this question and I can't go on without saying it, without asking it. There are other questions on Google Docs I can share with you later, Reijo.
Yeah, okay.
And anybody else?
You had some more questions.
We do, but I was just told that we don't have time anymore, that we should have finished 4 minutes ago, because there is another session to go. And if we don't have a break now,
okay, good.
People are going to
They will
kill me.
you, but not me. But
Yeah.
perhaps we could just ask Elias' last question. It's in Portuguese in the document that we have, because I think it's an important one about the moment we are going through.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Okay. So that's Elias' question, okay?
Yeah.
And if I make any mistakes, guys, help me, please. Well, let's go. How would Hegel, I'm sorry, think of the subjective of freedom facing demorality, institutional demorality, as well as the case of schools where there are no investments for virtual classes or teachers who are disrespected because due to political institutions. So how would Hegel think about those topics today, nowadays?
I must say that the question is very tricky because Hegel couldn't thought of phenomena that does not exist in his time. I mean, I don't know, but we of course could, I could say or elaborate what I think that Hegel's concept of freedom, what it implies for these problems. But maybe I could give an answer by in internet or something like that, because it's so a complex question or issue that I have difficulties to make a statement directly. A very good question, but also a tricky one.
Okay, so I'm sorry for the background noise.
Oh, no.
At least Reijo is familiar with them.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm familiar with the noise.
Okay, so thank you so much, Reijo. I hope you can come back later, and I'm sure we would have much more to discuss. And that's it. Thank you so much. We'll be in touch.
Thank you very much, Ray.
Our picture.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, picture. We have a picture, Reijo.
Take the spotlight from them because I can't. And then
I did.
Okay.
Okay, thank you very much. Hopefully this was useful for you. Okay.
Very much. Goodbye, everyone who is on Facebook. We are closing the Facebook live.
I can try and do that. Can I try? No, I can't.
I think I'll have to drop and then see.
Yeah.
You know, if I will, let's do the picture, then I will close the room and then we leave the internet.
Okay.
I'm sorry. It's bugged.
Is everybody ready? Todo mundo tá pronto para foto? 1, 2, 3. Smile. Another one, just a second. 1, 2, 3. Yay!
Yes.
Good.
Great. Thank you again.
Thank you so much, Reijo.
A round of applause for Reijo, people. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Hey, Pippa.
People, I will close the room and open the same room so that we can leave the internet because my computer cannot, I cannot close it, okay?
Bye-bye, Reijo.
Kiitos.
Thank
you so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye. I have no idea.
Ok. A gente sai e volta.
A gente está indo no
internet.
Facebook, porque eu não estou conseguindo fechar. Eu vou tentar derrubar meu computador e assim a gente fecha tudo, tá? Então, gente, até daqui a pouquinho. Eu vou fechar e abrir tudo.